Okay, we'll dedicate our learning once again to Refuat Shlema of Harab Daniel ben Miriam Chaya Ruth. Berachot Perek Vav. Berachot now turns its attention to the halachot of brachot, as we're going to see. Berachot Hananim. So even before the Mishnah begins, Kesad Mevarchim ala Perot. How do you make brachot on Perot? So, but before we even begin that, we have to ask ourselves, why do you need to make a bracha at all? Which is exactly what the Gemara asks. The Gemara says, Minan Emili, how do we know that you have to make a bracha? So the Gemara gives a bunch of different answers, and I want to share with you just a couple. The Tana Rabbanan, we learned, the Rabbanan learned, Kodesh Hilulim Lashem. The Pasuk says, Kodesh Hilulim, that which is holy of Hilulim, praise to God. Milamed, Shetu'unim Bracha Lifneim Alacharehem. This teaches us that they require a bracha before and after. Even before you eat or after. Mikan Amar Rabbi Akiva, Asur la'adam shit'om klum kodim shivarech. A person is forbidden from tasting anything before he makes a bracha. The Gemara learns later on, there's a kal v'chomer. We know the Torah says, Ve'achalta v'savato berachta. If you shall eat, and you should be satisfied, and then you should make a bracha. So the Gemara says, kal v'chomer, if after you've eaten, you should make a bracha, before you eat, kol shekain, certainly you should. Achat kama v'kama. Another answer. Amar Rav Chanina bar Papa. Kol hanene me'olam hazeh below bracha. Anyone who benefits from this world without a bracha, ki ilu gozel hakadosh baruch hu Knesset Yisrael. It's as if you're stealing from God and from Knesset Yisrael. The fruits belong to the community. I don't know what you want to say about the social implications, but it's as if you're stealing from God and from Knesset Yisrael. So once we know that, then we understand that you have to make a bracha on everything. So we begin with perot. Ketzad b'vachim ala perot. We begin with fruits. What kind of fruits? Says the Mishnah. Al perot ha'ilan hu omer borei pri ha'etz. On fruit of the tree, you make the bracha of borei pri ha'etz. God was borei, created the fruit of the tree. Chutz min hayayin, except of course for wine. Sha'al hayayin hu omer borei pri ha'gafen. On wine, you make the blessing of borei pri ha'gafen, even though it comes from a tree. So the Gemara says, well, what's so special about wine? Wine obviously had special status in their time. Remember, they did not have refrigeration. Wine was the only drink that they had, other than water, that was tasty and flavorful, that would remain, that got better over time. Fruit juice would get rotten. Everything they had would get rotten if they didn't drink it right away, other than wine. The Gemara also says that it's because it's so'ed et halev. So'ed from the word se'udah. It satiates the heart, u'misamcho, and gives person joy. You get drunk. Wine has unique properties, as we all know. Therefore, it has its own bracha, it has its own level. Ve'al perot ha'aretz, and on fruit of the ground, u'amer borei pri ha'adama. You say borei pri ha'adama. So what's the difference between a tree and perot ha'aretz? So the Gemara explains, the Kahati explains, that perot ha'ilan, that I think the Gemara explains it. Oh, I don't see it here, but perot ha'ilan is a tree that doesn't resprout, doesn't regrow leaves in order to create new fruit. Whereas a vegetable, it has to create new leaves, new to sprout once anew, in order to create new fruit. So al perot ha'aretz omer borei pri ha'adama chutz min hapat, other than except for bread. Shal hapat hu omer hamotzi lechem min ha'aretz. On bread you say hamotzi, as we all know. Al ha-yirakot, so it's interesting, perot ha'aretz, fruit of the land, is the same as yirakot, on vegetables. So, in the Gemara's terminology, perot ha'aretz, they're also vegetables, some kind of vegetables. In the Gemara's terminology, the Kati says it's talking about perot ha'yirakot, or obviously, are like things that grow literally on the ground, cabbage, and lettuce and onions, carrots, things that literally grow on the ground. Those are yirakot. Whereas perot haaretz would be maybe tomatoes, cucumbers, they grow on stalks. They are perot, they're fruit, but nonetheless they're perot from the ground, because each time the stalk has to regenerate in order to create itself, in order to create a fruit. By yirakot to omer, on a vegetable you say borei pri ha'adama. Rabbi Yehuda omer, Rabbi Yehuda says no, borei minei dishaim. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda had the opinion that every specific, it wasn't just borei minei dishaim of grasses, but every specific species or genus, as it were, of different produce had its own bracha, had its own different bracha. So if it's grasses, you would eat grasses. If you're eating Brussels sprouts, you would have a certain bracha. If you were eating, I guess, broccoli and sprouting vegetables, it would have its own different bracha. Why? Because you should bless God for each specific thing. One wonders how many brachot. Rabbi Yehuda, in his time, before the halacha was codified specifically, so his students, one wonders, it would be fascinating study to try to figure out how many brachot they actually had. How many different kinds of brachot. Probably that's something we'll never really know. Okay, if you have any comments or questions, as always, rspolter@gmail.com. Have a great day.